Hi, Jewish Mom. So last week I was telling you about a TED Talk that I watched, and this week I'm also going to be mentioning a TED Talk. So I wanted to explain to you that a few months ago, I bought a little stereo. Our stereo broke, and our little stereo, I don't know if you call it like stereo, like a stereo little box, music box, could they? So I got it's like with a CD player, a radio, and a USB insert. And it's really nice. And now I can download different classes that I want to listen to in the kitchen while I'm making lunches or cleaning up. And it's really, really fun. So highly recommend it if any of you are kind of bored working in your kitchen. It's been really fun for me. Um, and so I heard a very inspirational class this week by Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of the best-selling book, Eat, Pray, Love, which I've never read and don't really know anything about, but I really enjoyed the TED Talk, so I want to tell you about it. So what she talked about coping with success and coping with failure. And she talked about how when about how she how like she as like a child and teenager, like she loved writing. It was just something that for her, she says it was for her, it was like coming home. It was like her home was writing, was the written word. And so when she graduated college and wanted to become a professional writer, she struggled for years and years and years. I think for 6 years with just constant rejection. And she was always trying to, submit her work and just without any success. And she said that what kept her going was that she always knew she could always come back home. Come back home, which for her was writing. And she says that that everyone has something for them, which is coming back home, which is that thing in life that you love more than yourself, which you love more than your own ego. And so she said for some people that could be, a relationship with a child, with a family member, with a husband, with could be something related to faith. For her, it's writing. And so she talked about that, like dealing with failure. When she was dealing with that constant failure, the way that she coped was that she could always go back home. And something interesting that she said was that after her book, Eat, Pray, Love, became wildly successful, she's being interviewed on like all these, I don't know, Oprah, Today Show. I'm not sure, but I assume like that kind of level of fame and success. So and she said that in a way, the feeling of being wildly successful was reminiscent of the feeling of failure, and that she felt kind of alienated from herself, and alienated from who she really was, and how important it was for her to always in that during like the wild success following the publication of the book, to be able to go back to that place which is home, which is home for her the written word, writing. She said then after she published her second book, so the second book was a flop, and no one read it, Verich, and she said again it was the same thing. Like but she always could go back to home, go back to that thing that she loved more than herself, going back to the written word. And she said, and I know, just Elizabeth Gilbert, she said, I know that, I'm going to put out a lot more books, and I'm going to and some of them will be among them will be flops, other flops, and maybe among them will be other successes. But she says, but I will always be able to go back to home, go back to that place which I love more than myself. So the day after I heard this, this TED Talk, so that morning, I experienced a disappointment, and so I was kind of feeling like, oh, like kind of in a bit of a funk, because I had experienced this disappointment, and then at 1:30 I had to go pick up Yonatan. Yonatan is he's turning 2 this month. He is so cute. He's like a little kitten. And it was amazing, just like that feeling of picking him up and walking home with him and saying, "Hey, Jonathan, how are you?" it's raining. It was a big, like it was raining a lot last week. It was raining. It's raining. And just feeling like that feeling of being with him just completely just wiped away my disappointment, completely just took it all away so that it was just completely irrelevant. Like who cared about my stupid disappointment? My stupid disappointment. It was something that I love in the world so much more than myself. You know, just that, and that I think is like, it's like the magic of being a mother. You know, I think that for all of us, you know, for all of us mothers, you know, having something in our lives that we love more than ourselves, it's a very healing place to have in our lives. It can be a refuge from any disappointment, anything that goes wrong, because we always have that. We always can come back home to that. So I want to bless all of us in conclusion, that, you know, so Elizabeth Gilbert, she talked in her TED Talk about dealing with wild success and dealing with, you know, dealing with failure. And how she always in her life, she always has this place that she can come home to. It's the thing in her life that she loves more than herself. And I want to bless all of us as mothers, that we should always be able to have that place, that motherhood can always be for us our relationship, that special magical connection with our children. You know, it's often very challenging, but to get to like the essence of that warm, loving, nurturing connection with a child, the magic of that, and that we should all be able, when things are not easy, to be able to come home to that and to be healed by it. God bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week. Kol Tov.